Well, shooters and reloaders out there, it's Fortune Cookie 45LC coming to you from the hot lead zone. And yes, I'm recovering from pneumonia. Kind of knocked me out of action for about 3 weeks. And still have a kind of a bad cough at times, but I'm going to go ahead and do this video for you today because we made these Svarog slugs. And here's the box where the mold came in. This is the mold. We'll show you that in a little while. This mold is available from the Reloaders Network, and that's James Loads of Bacon back there who runs the Reloaders Network. And if he doesn't have this mold in stock, he'll get some more, so you might have to be patient. Also, Nigel Turner over in the UK is supplying these same molds and all the other requirements to do the Russian slugs, available from Nigel Turner over at the UK for the entirety of Europe. But to show you this mold, it has a core pin in there that allows the slug to have a big hollow point. And I've already used this mold, so you see it's once used and it's still almost in perfect condition. So it's got some good durability to it. But here's the core pin. Now YouTube really hates the idea of making ammunition and the concept of making your own bullets by casting to make our ammunition. That really is anathema to them, and if they get any word at all, they'll go ahead and swoop down and strike those videos and all this kind of thing. So I just had another one of my videos struck down, so what I went ahead and did was some related videos. I went ahead and voluntarily removed those also, so hopefully that'll kind of satisfy them for a while. This is how the slug looks when you open the mold and you take the core pin out, and the slug comes off the core pin like this, and that results in a real deep hollow cavity, as you see. But we can't show you the actual casting because that would really inflame the sensibilities over at YouTube. So here's the mold, and you see the inside of the cavity. Didn't have to do any smoking in there. Worked out just fine. I did smoke the core pin though, but that may not even be necessary. Doesn't matter. Doesn't hurt to smoke it, but there you go. The core pin's in the mold. And then the sprue plate closes, and you see the hot lead goes through there and fills the cavity. And then you saw the slug on the core pin before. I think these molds are available for something like $90 or $95 or whatever it is, but it's the same price as if you bought it straight from Russia. Talk about Russian collusion. But if you buy it from Russia, are they doing something weird with your credit card, this kind of thing, and it takes 3 weeks, 4 weeks to deliver, and are they going to get everything right? And so if you get it from the Reloaders Network, you get it for the same price. And not only that, but even if there's a little handling involved, it's still worth it because you get it a lot sooner if he has it in stock, that is. And you don't have to worry about all the other issues with dealing with Russian. Anyway, so show you the casting that we did. And here are the slugs, the outcome, the output from that mold. And then I went ahead and did some powder coating, including some nice highlights. Well, if you want to know how these are done, you got to drift over to the Patreon site, the 3 Circles, and that's actually findable off of the search engines under Fortune Cookie 45LC. But anyway, went ahead and casted all these up, and these are the hollow point version and not the segmented hollow point, which is designed to fragment. I figure you got a 12 gauge slug that's hollow pointed, it's going to expand some, and you don't even need it to expand, you don't need it to break up. But anyway, these are casted not out of pure lead. We're going to go ahead and do a little experiment. We're casting these out of plain range scrap, which is about 3 to 4% antimony. It's going to be around BHN 10 to 11. So a little harder than plain lead, but that should work out fine. Let's see if it does. The reason why it's got a chance to work out fine is you notice that there are 2 driving bands on this slug. These 2 driving bands are narrow, so they don't give you a lot of bearing surface, and that lets us use a little harder alloy. Normally we wouldn't use a harder alloy, we would use pure lead. But I think that in Mother Russia, they have a hard time getting pure lead, so they probably cast their slugs out of any lead alloy that they can get their hands on. So that's probably why this design is such that you can use almost any lead alloy. When you have a little bearing surface instead of a lot of bearing surface, you can do that. Now you'll recall that the hydrant slug is hollow based for this proprietary tail wad to go up in there, and if you're going to do that, you need to have Nix clips to reinforce this compression zone as you're putting the slug and wad together, so you don't destroy the compression zone doing that. But the way the Svarog mold is designed, the slug here, it has a solid base and a hollow point instead, and the idea is for a regular machine screw to be put through that hole and use that screw to attach onto wads of our choice to give us an alternative to the tail wad. The idea in these systems is to have wads and slugs that stay together so that the wad acts like a stabilizer during flight. Whether it's done by a means of the hollow base and proprietary matching part that goes into the hollow base, or whether it's done with a screw attached wad, the same idea applies. So what you see here are BPI brush wads that are flattened on one end, and then the slug you just sit right on top and a machine screw put through there and screwed into the wad to hold it together. And these are now ready to load. If you want to see how that exactly was done, you've got to mosey over to the 3 circles and check out the videos on Patreon, or ask more questions. So what you see here are 3 of the solid hollow point type Svarog slug combinations, and one of the Svarog segmented slug, as you see there. And there's a screw in the center, and there's a screw in the center of that one. So these are ready to load. The only problem is we don't have any load data, so we've got to work up our own loads. Even though we don't have published loading data for the Svarog slug, which happens to weigh 540 grains, we do have some good clues provided by the Lyman Shot Shell Reloading Handbook and the BPI Slug Loading and Field Application Manual. These are 2 essential manuals for slug shooters today. In this, it suggests that for the 525 grain, slightly lighter Lyman pellet slug, that we can use anywhere from 36 to 39 grains of long shot. Now we already know that a good load with blue dot is like 38 grains, but we don't know with long shot because we haven't used long shot with these slugs before. Now the BPI Slug Loading and Field Application book gives us a good clue, because with the comparable weight pumpkin ball slug, it gives long shot at 33 grains. So we can actually start loading somewhere around 33 to 35 grains of long shot powder. Now Hodgdon long shot's a great powder for slugs, and it's the powder that Jeff over at Top Fledermaus likes to use for his slug shooting. So in honor of Jeff over at Top Fledermaus, we're going to go ahead and work up some loads with long shot, and a good starting would be around 33 to 35 grains of long shot. So we'll load 33, 34, and 35 grains of long shot. And then we can do some other videos on using blue dot, say starting at 36 grains and going up to 38 grains. And if the pressure levels are okay, we can go a little bit hotter with both long shot or blue dot. Now we'll also be able to use different hulls, such as the Fiocchi straight wall slug hull or the Federal tactical slug hull, as you see there, already used for rifled slugs to begin with, or the regular Federal rifled slug hull. And very helpful, we'll be able to use the Nick Ross 4-pin roll crimper to apply the final roll crimp. Now all of this equipment here mentioned in this video is available from the Reloaders Network. Bye for now.